In Something Interesting with Deepti, meet 57-year-old Mr. Khoo Swee Chiow. He is Singapore's first professional adventurer. He is also one of the first Singaporeans to have climbed Mt Everest. He is also first in Southeast Asia and fourth person in the world to have conquered the 7 summits, North Pole and the South Pole. This year during the pandemic, 57-year-old Mr. Khoo tried for the third time to climb world's 4th highest peak, Lhotse in Nepal. But why couldn't he conquer it? Let's hear it from Mr. Khoo himself.
The main reason was this year's season was really bad, meaning the weather. And we had 2 cyclones, coming from the Bay of Bengal, the Indian Ocean. They push up, and then so they create a lot of havoc, storms and all that. So normally climbing Everest and Lhotse in the Himalaya, you have like 2 distinct weather window for you to kind of attempt. But this time there was only like 1 or 2 days. Yeah, so it wasn't a good season. So in the end, on the summit day, before that, we went up to Camp 2, and then I got stuck for 4 days, because of the storms. Yeah, so by the end of the 4 days, the mountain has been covered with a lot of fresh snow. So what happened is the rope was buried. So without the rope, it's too risky. So we climbed up to just above 8,000 meters above Camp 4. Then I knew we had to turn around.
Whoa.
So Lhotse, this is my actually 3rd attempt. Yeah, so the history behind it is 2015. I went to climb Lhotse for the first time, but unfortunately it was the year where the major earthquake happened. So the whole thing was aborted. Yeah. Luckily I was in a safe place in a village. Yeah, luckily the building didn't collapse. So that was 2015, and then 2016 I went back to try again, and this time we got really close to the summit, 100 meters actually from the summit. I could actually see it. But unfortunately, an incident happened. A Sherpa from another team fell, and he died basically. So all of us, had to turn around because everyone, all the Sherpas know him. So the mood kind of changed and we didn't want to climb. So that was 2016. So now, COVID, that attempt. What to do? That's life. The mountain is always the last say. Yeah. A lot of the things that you learn, you experience on the mountain is life lessons, right? So in this case, I think what's important is to know when to turn back. Yeah, and it's not my first time. I've turned back from many mountains. I've climbed, I've tented a few mountains, didn't succeed. So knowing when to go forward and when to turn back is very important. And to me, if I feel there's a risk to my life or my partner's or my Sherpa's life, then I would not hesitate to turn back. Yeah, it's not worth it, right? It's much better to come back alive. We all have families, even my Sherpa, he has family, right? He has a young boy. So I do not want to put him at unnecessary risk. Yeah. So knowing when to turn back is very important, and I think that applies to life. You have to know when to let go, yeah, and when to take calculated risk. In my adventure world, I've had many failures, so to speak. Yeah, but like I said, it comes, okay to me now. Of course, the first reaction is disappointment, and maybe some anger still, And sometimes I say, God, this is my 3rd attempt, come on, right? Bargain with God, But but you get over that. Because at that moment, when the decision is to turn back, then you have to come down safely. It's not over yet. It's not like just walk in a park and go down, right? Because the reason you turn back is, no rope, and then you have to come down. So you still have to be very careful. You still have to be very alert. So it is only when you get back to base camp, then the emotion subside. Then you have time to think about, maybe I should have, but not at that moment when you are still in climbing. Yeah. Well, it was a last-minute decision actually, and the turning point was I got my vaccinations. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone. Yeah, so I got my vaccination just like 1 week before departure, and then I tried to look for sponsors, and luckily I found a sponsor. So that was taking some risks. Yeah. In the end, it all came together, and of course before that I had done some research and homework. I asked a lot of people in Nepal, my friends, and also climbers around the world, whether is it going to be safe in the mountains. It's like 50-50 the answers. Some people say yes, some people say no, some people do not know. So in a 50-50 situation, I thought, okay, well, I've got my vaccinations, and let's do it. So I basically just kept to myself, tried to minimize the socializing, and the same at base camp. So I have friends who are with a different company and different base camp. So I didn't visit them. I have a few very close friends who are Sherpas, and so I've been using the same Sherpas service. Yeah, so I know this guy Chirpal, so I trust my life with him. And so of course before I arrive, I ask him, are you okay? Make sure you don't have COVID. Make sure you go for a test. Do your social distancing. So yeah, he's quite good. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, many mountains are more challenging than Everest. For example, K2, Kanchenjunga, Annapurna, a lot of avalanche risk. Many mountains are more dangerous and more technical than Mount Everest. Of course, Everest is so popular, it's the highest, everybody knows, yeah. That was when I was really young. I was in high school, yeah, and I went to climb a mountain in Malaysia. Called Gunung Ledang or Mount of Fear. So that was a different me at that time, and I was just a young kid, young student, no experience. I got really frightened. Yeah, I discovered that I had a fear of height. Of all things, right? When you want to climb a mountain and you have the fear of height, that's not very good. So anyway, we went with friends, and then so I remember coming down, we reached the summit. Coming down, I swore to myself, I will never climb any mountain in my life again. So guess what happened? So when you're on the mountain, don't make too many promises. Yeah, so that was long ago. But then later on, I started trekking, nearby, again, Malaysia mountains. And I went to Nepal, and then I saw Mount Everest with my own eyes. And that was like the light bulb moment. It's like, aha. It's more like, wow, And I came back very excited and also nervous, scared, because I was not a climber. I have no idea how to do it and how to prepare and how much it's going to cost. So that journey, from that moment onwards, it was a good 10 years until my first Everest. Yeah, so that 10 years was my learning journey, learning to climb, rock climbing, snow and ice and all that. So I went to New Zealand, for example, to take up a mountaineering course, to learn the basics, and all that. So it's one leading to the next mountain, climb higher and higher, and finally Everest. Yeah, of course with the Singapore team. So, the ballpark figure, an average, right, for cost for climbing Everest is $50,000 per person. So that includes your permit, which is now $11,000 which goes to the Nepal government, right? And then the rest of it, you have the oxygen, right? You have food, you have equipment, and then you have to pay, your Sherpa. So all that, ballpark figure is 50,000, per person. Yeah, there were two of us, me and my partner Edwin. Yeah, so we were part of the first Singapore Everest expedition back in 1998. So Adventure Grand Slam is just a title given to a combination of three major challenge. So one is 7 summits, and then to reach the North Pole and the South Pole. Yeah. So the 7 summits refers to the highest mountain in each continent. So we have 7 continents. So for example, in Asia, the highest is Mount Everest. In Africa, the highest is Kilimanjaro, and so forth. So if you have climbed all the 7, then your name will be in one of the websites. 7 summits. So yeah, I became the 4th person in the world and the first in Southeast Asia to achieve that. One, for example, we were training in Greenland. That was long ago when we were preparing for the South Pole expedition. So there were 6 of us plus our trainer. Yeah. So we were caught in a very bad snowstorm, blizzard, and it lasted for 8 days. Right. So we ran out of food, and we had to dig into what's called a snow cave, and then we had to cover it, and we ran out of oxygen in the cave. Yeah. So all in all, the only reason why we survived is because the snowstorm stopped. Yeah, so we could come out. If the blizzard had continued for a few days more, God knows what's going to happen. Yeah. So that was in Greenland. That was one epic adventure. Yeah, another interesting one is, or rather I would call bizarre and spooky, is in Tibet. I climbed 8,000 meter called Shisha Pengma without oxygen. We got to the top, me and my friend, and then we, very late, 3 p.m., which is past the so-called the safety zone, safety margin. So we came down in the dark, past midnight, still coming down, no oxygen, very tired. And we got back to our high camp, right? It's a snow cave again. And me and my friends were so tired, we got in, just sat there for a while, composed ourselves. And then we realized something was missing. Yeah, because we were hungry, we wanted to eat. And so our sleeping bag was missing, both of us. And then our food was all gone. Yeah, but the rest are still there, the stove, the gas, butane, burner, everything was there except our sleeping bag and our food. Now, mind you, we were the only people in the mountain because everyone has gone home. And this cave is very high, it's 7,000 meters. There's not a single soul that we know, right? So, up to today, it's still a mystery. It's very spooky. Now, just to complete the story, so the year before we went, 2 persons died on that mountain because of avalanche. Yeah, 2 quite famous climbers actually. So me and my friend looked at each other, and without saying anything, we kind of knew, So maybe the 2 of them were hungry and cold. Spooky, huh? Yeah. The main difference is the crowd. Yeah, back then, we still have some queuing, so-called traffic jam, but not as bad. These days, if you see some of the Google, the YouTube, it's really bad. The long queue, the traffic jam, and that causes problems. Because while you are still waiting, you're not moving, you are consuming oxygen, a very precious commodity, right? So, and you have only limited amount of oxygen, and your Sherpa can only carry that many of bottles for you. So that poses like one of the problems, and it's quite common to hear of people climbing Everest these days, of people running out of oxygen, and they run into trouble. Yeah. So that is the main difference I see from back then in '98 until now. It's just too many people. Yeah. I think if somebody wants to climb Everest, my question is, why do you want to climb Everest? You have to, I think the why is very important. Is it because you want to be famous? You want to, get sponsorship? Those are not so good reasons, I find. I think if you want to climb Everest, maybe a good reason would be, if you like nature, right? If you like climbing itself, then to me that's good. Yeah. And also, if you want to climb Everest, don't rush into it, right? If you enjoy climbing, then naturally you will want to prepare yourself. So maybe start with 4,000 meter peaks. Climb some 5,000, 6,000. Gradually improve your skills and your fitness. And by doing so, you would have enjoyed the journey, right? Every mountain that you climb, is special, and it gives you precious lessons. And also by doing that, by taking smaller steps, you minimize the risk. Yeah.